I die, I'm going to heaven because Jesus has forgiven my sins. Okay, I said. So the good news is, when you die, you're going to heaven because Jesus has forgiven your sins. Becca and I, we're doing a grand tour. We started in London, England. We will finish in America, New York. And we're going around the world, and we're visiting different projects from Oasis. And Oasis is an organisation that works all over the world, and it works with people who are down and out, people that nobody else wants to work with. And our first trip was, we went to a place called Brierley in Uganda. Anyone been to Uganda? Nobody? Yeah? One or two people. We went to Uganda and Brierley. And whilst I was there, I met some incredible people doing some incredible things. And one of the ladies there, we went to this village. Actually, the reason why Becca didn't come in on the bike as we came in is the last time, this is true, last time we were in Brierley, everyone, like, you get on the back of a bike with somebody, you pay them a bit of money and they give you a ride. And there's this one bit of, like, railway track that goes into the village that we're going to. It's got a ditch on one side, and there's this guy coming along the other way with, like, two speakers on the back of his bike. And I don't know whether our bike didn't see him, or if it was just like a game of chicken, you know, and it was like, who was going to get out of the way first? Anyway, this other guy didn't get out of the way, and Becca ended up in the ditch. So that's why she didn't want to come on the bike. I think she was going to sit on the back, but she decided not to. Anyway, we went to this place, and they're doing some incredible things there. Most of the projects they're doing there, actually, is with women. And we went to one particular community, and when we went there, there's a huge problem with alcohol. The men in the villages, they make their own brew, and this is dangerous stuff, okay, like seriously dangerous, and they drink a lot of it. And while we were there, the lady was telling us that sometimes at night the women are so scared to go out because the men get drunk and they rape women. And the reason that often actually in that area the crops are so high is because the men don't want to cut them down because they want to be able to rape these women at night. And there was one particular woman who was, she was pregnant and she was due to give birth really soon, but she was really worried because she thought if she goes into labour at night, she didn't want to go and make her way to the hospital because she was too scared to go out at night. And so the night came and she was ready to give birth and she went into labour. But she did not want to leave. She was so scared to go out into this community that she decided she would rather stay in her community, stay in her house, and try and give birth. And both that lady and her child died that night. Why? Because of her fear. She lived in fear. We then went down through into Kitale, a place called Kitale in Kenya. And we went to visit a project there that a friend of mine is running. And one of the things they do is they work with AIDS orphans. And I went along to this place and you go, and I don't know why, but when you're a white guy, you turn up, they love it, they go mental, like they all go crazy, like, you know, it's so exciting for them. So they all come up to you and they're running and they're cheering and they're, you know. And I noticed just one boy kind of stands a little bit taller than the others. And by his side is like a really nervous child. And so both of them, they walk to the side and the lady says, come with me, I want to tell you a bit about this project that we run. So I go with her and we sit down. And we sit down and she says, I want to introduce you to these two boys. The older one was called Benjamin, and the younger one, I cannot remember his name, but Benjamin and this other little boy. And she tells me these two boys are brothers, she says. She said, do you know how we started this project for AIDS orphans? It's because of these two. She said she used to see Benjamin walking around in a local village with this boy, who's actually his brother, on his back. And she would always see this boy on his back. And so after some time, she asked Benjamin, the older boy, she said, I can't help but notice, but you've always got this boy on your back. Why is that? And so he begins to tell her, well, it's because a year ago, he said, my mum threw both of us out. She said actually, she started off and she threw my little brother out because he's got AIDS. And this young boy who was, I think when they left home about 3, she just threw him out of the house because she did not know what to do. And Benjamin decided that what he wanted to do was, he wanted to go with his brother. So he left that house as well. And actually, for 1 year, That little boy with AIDS, his only home was the back of his brother. And as I looked at these two children, both of them grinning from ear to ear, I thought to myself, what is the good news? What is the good news? From there, obviously, I came to the wonderful land of India. I'm supposed to be India, your home nation. I don't know if you knew that. I love India. It's fantastic. I love that you can call, like people older than you, auntie and uncle. I find that really helpful because I'm always terrible with people's names. So auntie, just call them auntie and uncle is great. I love that you can do this. It doesn't really mean anything, So it's so non-committal. So when my parents say to me, "So when are you going to have children? Are you going to have children?" When my wife says to me, "So what are we going to do for our anniversary?" Actually, our anniversary is tomorrow. We're going to celebrate with you. I love India because you can honk your horn at anybody for any reason. If you do it in England, you get shot. And here, you do it for anything. It's like, he's my friend, I'm going to honk my horn. I hate this guy, just cut me up, honk, honk. I'm just going to honk my horn, honk, honk, honk. It's brilliant, I love it. I love this place, it's great. Anyway, I came to India and I did not know what to expect, but I was so excited. And I'll tell you two things. We came here because we really wanted to help Oasis in what they're doing. And one of the things that they're doing is they're helping women and children that have been trafficked. More people trafficked today are put into slavery than when it was abolished 200 years ago. Isn't that crazy? More people are in slavery today than 200 years ago when a guy called William Wilberforce made it illegal. We are living in a crazy time. It is the most popular selling machine in the world other than drugs. People are bought and sold like their products. And I just couldn't get my head around this. I couldn't believe it. And we went to a place that Oasis runs, which is like a house for women that have been rescued from situations. And we sat, Becca and I, and we listened to these two girls' stories. And they were just girls, 18. They were, I don't know how old when they were actually trafficked, but 15, 16. One of these girls, she told a story, every 2 minutes her eyes were just welling up. And she told us that she was with her friends, and her friends told her, if we go to Mumbai, we'll all get a job together. And do you know what her friends did? Her friends sold her to a trafficker. Her friends sold her so that people could have sex with her for I don't know how much money. They were her friends, and she told us, you could just see, just the pain. And as she began to talk about the number of times that she'd been beaten, that she'd been forced to have sex with men over and over again, just welling up with tears. And I was crying as well. And I thought to myself again, what is the good news? And I thought about what that guy said. You see, that's not good news for those people in those situations. The good news for those women is that they can be released and be given freedom. The good news for those little boys is that they can be given an education that they deserve. They can be given a family and a community that they deserve. The good news for that woman I told you about would have been to be safe in a community at night, that she didn't have to fear being raped by men. What is the good news? It's nothing less than us one day going to heaven. But it is so much more. It is so much bigger, so much wider. What is the good news? The good news is justice. And I want to just read